Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Tony here. So today we're just doing a little simple review of my bike. I got about 6,000 miles on it. So this review will be the perspective from someone who has never ridden a street bike before and hasn't ridden a bike in 40 years. So some background. I grew up riding dirt bikes all the way from XR80 on up to CR250, XR200, XL250, and I think I had a Honda street bike, a 400 somewhere mixed in there, and I think a 175 in there. But for 40 years, nothing until last year, around April, I just had the urge to buy an XR. I really wanted an XR, and I wanted like an XL that I could ride on the street and then on the dirt. So I got a Honda XR650L, and that was, that was my dream bike for a long time. It was like I really wanted a bike like that. So I got that bike, hadn't ridden a bike in 40 years, got on it, started riding around. I only put about 400 miles on that bike, and quickly I realized two things. One, I'm just too old, not in any shape to be riding dirt bikes, heavy duty like I used to, in the mountains, on the track and all that stuff. And then also that I'd be riding a lot on paved roads, and an XR 650L isn't the greatest bike to be on all day going 70 miles per hour on highways. So I'd seen the Africa Twin in videos during quarantine and stuff. I was following a bunch of guys and stuff, and I had already had the bug for that. So I really realized, okay, look, the XR, I love it, but I really want that Africa Twin. And I had seen it at the Honda shop when I was going to get stuff for my XR. And they had one there. It was the DCT, and then they had the standard clutch version. And I called up one day and said, hey, I want that bike. And he said, well, today's your lucky day. We just reduced it by $2,000. And I was like, all right, it's mine. Hold it. So I got it on a price that I just could not resist. And it's a very reasonable price for that bike. So I went ahead and got that bike. Again, 400 miles previously on the XR, and then before that, nothing. We got some cows here that are kind of all frisky and jumping around, and the other cow over here is going, what the hell are you guys doing? It's just a bike. Up, now he's going, see ya. Oh yeah, Bucky. He threw me a few kicks. So anyways, it was really like, okay, this is the bike I really need. I want a bike that I can tour on. I could hop on and go, hey, I'm going to Big Bend, which I did on this bike, and that was a very comfortable ride, very manageable. The bike is very comfortable, be on all day. There's other bikes out there that might be better, but for me, this bike, I'm a Honda guy, and once I fall in love with the bike, that's it. I don't care what else is out there. So I got the bike, started riding it, loved it. Now I had the choice between getting the standard or the DCT. Again, I did no research on the bikes. I just knew the DCT was an automatic, and I wanted it for a couple reasons. One, for comfort and fatigue, carpal tunnel, and not carpal tunnel, but tendonitis in my hands and arthritis and all that stuff, and just not having to want to always shift and pulling in the clutch and so on. So I just went for it. I said, okay, let's try this automatic out. I didn't test drive either. So I picked up this bike, drove it home, and I loved it immediately. Now there are a couple things with the DCT. You got to be careful. You don't want this to be your first bike, because not having the clutch is, you have the risk of whisking the bike. Because you don't have that safety of pulling in the clutch, to disengage. So you got to be aware of that with the DCT. There are a couple videos out there that really explain how to ride the DCT. and I've since watched those. And one of the things that I've learned, and by watching, is that the way to ride a dual clutch DCT automatic is you're using the rear brake as your clutch featherer. So you're on the brake, and that's how you feather the clutch, is with your brake. You can do that with a clutch bike, so you can have the clutch and you can have the rear brake and feather both of those. But with the DCT, you really want to be able to step on that rear brake, hold that rear brake, and control your motion, you know, to the slowest, almost to a standstill and so on, with the rear brake. Now, I have really limited to experience on the dirt. So I've the only dirt I've done is just some gravel roads here and there, and just access roads, but no dirt riding. I know this bike is very capable of that, but again, you know, with my age, I got to take it easy. More touring, but still, I can still handle riding this thing off-road. So that being said, I am going to Big Bend this spring to do mostly 90% dirt roads. So I will be changing the tires and getting a true 50-50, and then we'll have a whole series on that. As far as, you know, this bike, I love it. It's very stable at higher speeds. You know, if you're cruising 70 miles per hour or whatever on the highways and it's windy, very stable, very comfortable. With this windshield here, you get plenty of protection. I've done some minimal modifications to the bike. We'll go over that. You know, this screen gives really good protection. I did get I don't have a real modern bike, and that was the other reason for getting this bike over having the XR. Fuel injection, anti-lock ABS brakes, traction control, and you know, all those little perks that you get, you know, showing me my fuel and just all the goodies, water cooled and so on. But I don't have cruise control, which some of the newer bikes have, but I do have this throttle lock, which really helps, and it does come in handy. It does afford me to be able to take a break from time to time and be able to, you know, lock that throttle on long stretches. So that's a good thing for this bike. I didn't do any risers, handlebar risers on this bike, because a lot of things that I've read on experts on this bike is the ergonomics of the bike right out of the box is perfect, and you don't really want to mess with that. So yeah, right out of the box, I wanted a more modern bike. Now with this bike, you can, you know, with the pad, I can put it in manual, which I have it in manual right now for when I want to have control over what gear I'm in. So I have the paddle shifters, which is great for shifting and so on. And even when you're in automatic, that's a great thing too, because, you know, you can anticipate a hill or whatever, and the bike doesn't know what's coming up. So that's what's really nice about that, is you can go ahead and just downshift or upshift as needed. You have your power settings, you have your urban, you have your touring, you have your gravel, and then you also have your custom user, which I haven't really got into that. The dash on this and the controls are fairly simple to figure out, and you know, it's not too hard to figure out.
Looking up at the stars, up at the stars. I'm caught inside a loop where I can get to your heart, get to your heart.
You know, so it's fairly simple. Some of the newer bikes are pretty complicated, and I've heard some stuff about how, oh, it's just a nightmare to figure it out. This one's fairly simple, so I really like that. That's something that's really fun, you know, to be able to customize it the way you like it.
You gotta look into my eyes. Think twice before you let me go. My eyes are mirrors of my soul. See how much I want it, see how bad I need it. You gotta look into my eyes. Look into.
So with the manual, I mean, it's no different than if I had a clutched version, except the fact that I don't have to shift, but I have my paddle shifters, so I could shift that way, but I can't shift like you normally would, and so on. Into my eyes. So what's nice about with the DCT is when you're standing, it's fairly easy to be able to shift, you know, because you got your paddle shifters. So I like that. That's a plus. You know, yeah, I'm not going to get into the debate about between the two. You know, one is for you, one isn't for you. For me, I really like it. Just again for the fatigue factor, and you know, when I go to Big Bend, we'll really we'll get on some dirt roads there, and we'll check out and see how things are. But currently, you know, I'm in manual, which is nice because it'll just stay in the gear that I want it to stay in, which when you're not, it's going to shift when the computer thinks it wants to shift. We got some rain, so the roads are not wet, but they're not dusty, which is nice. Some of the creeks are flowing. All right, so the only really modifications I've done on this bike is the crash bars, which I need to get some lights for. So those are the Altrider, the Tusk Panniers, and the mount. So with this mount, I can put just about any kind of panniers on there. I like the soft ones. They work really good with this bike for just day trip. I think if I was touring, like cross country and stuff like that, doing a lot of highway stuff, the hard panniers would probably be better because it's just easier to open and close them, and then you can leave them as you go, leave them locked. But I really haven't done much to the bike, but it's really been, it's just been a joy to ride and so on. So the only thing we were talking earlier about the risers and stuff, not to put risers. One recommendation is to flip the mount. So you flip the mount, you turn the mount all the way around, and it puts the it changes where the handlebars are located. and that was one of the recommendations. But otherwise, I really haven't done much with the bike. You know, changed the oil, put synthetic in it, and I did change the tires. So I got these Shinkos on there, and they got almost 3,000 miles on them. And I'm going to be putting a 50/50. I mean, they are showing some wear. You know, you can see here's the original depth right here, and then we're getting some wear here, and they're not known for lasting, but they serve their purpose. I'll be changing them next month anyways, getting ready for Big Bend. But yeah, I mean, I love the bike. I think it's a great bike for the price. You can't beat it. Yeah, so I really like the bike. I think it's a great bike for the price. Yeah, there are other more heavy-duty off-roading bikes out there and BMWs and so on, but again, for the price, this bike is right in there and for me, and I think it works really good for the market of wanting to be able to tour and then be able to still take it off-road like this. So yeah, I'm giving it a big thumbs up so far. We'll see how, when I get over to Big Bend and get into some more dirt, we'll see how that goes, and I'll be able to give my perspective of some more dirt with this bike. But I mean, it handles it fine so far. I haven't done a lot of manual shifting, so I got to get used to that because I'm so used to the bike shifting on its own. So, you know, coming on these roads like this is good practice because, you know, you got to shift, and with the paddle shifting, you know, it's pretty easy up and down.
Is the road closed at Sandy Creek?
What's that?
Is the road closed at Sandy Creek?
It said so. I haven't passed it. It's not closed. I came from 16, so it's not closed. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's where we're going.
Yeah, you're good.
Thanks, man.
Sure. For me, you know, this is really enjoyable. These kind of dirt roads, they're improved dirt roads, low risk, just enjoyable, you know, being out here and being on a dirt road. And you know, when I go to Big Bend, it'll be a little bit more, you know, the roads will be a little bit rougher than this. There'll still be some improved roads. There are a few that are unimproved roads, which I don't know if I'll tackle those because, again, I'm a newbie. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this quick little review of this bike. It's the Honda Africa Twin 2019 DCT. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. That helps to grow the channel. Subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. The videos won't be as prolific as they've been, just simply because I'm getting ready for home Big Bend. I've been seeing a lot of four-wheelers. They like to take this route for whatever reason, just to do the same thing I'm doing, get on some dirt. But yeah, you know, I'm not just going to do a video just for the sake of doing a video, but I'll try and get a few out before Big Bend, and then we're going to be prepping for Big Bend. So that's coming up, and we'll catch you on the next one. Adios.